Is this on? It's on. Right. Hello, YouTube. Welcome to another episode of Hollow Knight, where I am literally doing like last time. This is commentary. This is a re-upload due to the loss of audio, and I will be just talking over what I'm doing every now and then, whilst also just spitballing, as it's called, because unfortunately, no one wants to hear me just go, oh, I jumped here, oh, I hit a thing there, oh, I dashed over here all the time, because it's going to get boring really, really quick. Now, in the game at the moment in time, I'm in the Crystal Peak. I am trying to remember exactly what I was doing here. I think it's just I'm exploring. I'm trying to find things that I missed in order to get the 100% completion rate that which I'm aiming for, and just trying to find lost things. I do remember that I did in the last episode collect the shopkeeper's key, so I will be heading there to unlock the uh, extra items in the shop which Sly has hidden because he couldn't get to them beforehand, which I find quite funny. Yeah, it's just me traveling through the Crystal Peak, finding things that I didn't find before. So, in order to not bore you with just, oh, I jumped here, I jumped there, I'm traveling through here, because you can clearly see I'm still in the Crystal Peak, I'm just going to talk over it. So, the subject I'm going to talk about today, really, I've talked about in the last episode games that I enjoyed, so I'm going to talk about games that I actually steer clear from. The games in question being games like Call of Duty. I'm not a big first person shooter. It's always been a series that I've only delved into a couple of times. Like the main ones being Call of Duty World at War. I fought the campaign, and that was actually really, really, really good. And every time I've played zombies with friends, it's always been the zombie mode. I actually find it super fun and super enjoyable to play. But other than that, I generally just steer clear from them. I don't find them that fun. I don't find them that engaging, which is a real shame. It is a real shame because they have potential to be really, really good. Another type of game that I steer clear from, sports games. I touched on it a little bit last episode, but I'm not a big fan of sports. I never have been. It's not something that appeals to me. I mean, the main sports game that I've played in my life, which I remember, is Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup. Yeah, I know. Not exactly the peak of sports gaming, is it? But I enjoyed that. I thought it was really fun. It's in a world I was actually genuinely interested in. It's it's got its merits. It's got its merits there. But yeah, I don't have to like every game. I think people have it in their mind that in order to have a variety of gaming, you have to like multiple different types of games. I agree, but you don't have to like every single game. Like, say, for example, let's take the Persona 5 games, for example. I love Persona 5. I love Persona 5 The Royal. Tactica's just come out. Really, really enjoying it. I'm liking it being sort of like a more tactical spacing sort of game where you move characters around and you have to set them up to get the advantage. I like that. Persona 5 Strikers wasn't a fan. I tried so hard to like that game. So hard. And I just couldn't. I just couldn't enjoy it. Before I carry on with that, uh, in the video right now, I found where a new spell. And I've been after a new spell in the game for a long time, or it's either an upgrade or an existing spell. It's one or the other. Yeah, it's an upgrade of Descending Dark. Sorry, there we go. Which is still really, really good. Like the spells in Hollow Knight are super powerful. Like I used to not really use them much, but I near the end of the game, going for the 100% run, the spells come in so handy, so handy. So definitely recommend if you're playing Hollow Knight to search out the spells. Super good. All right, back to my original point. Pardon me. Persona 5 Strikers. I struggled to get into that game. I tried. I really tried. I wanted to enjoy that game because it's Persona 5 and I love the Persona series. I've pretty much loved every Persona game up until Persona 5 Strikers. I I could not gel with it. I really, really tried though. I really tried. I liked the fact that the element system was still in the game. You know, I I abused it as much as I could, but I just could not get into it. I really didn't enjoy it. I ended up dropping it after the first boss. I've heard a couple of people tell me, "Oh, it gets better after that." I was like, "No, I've played through the first segment of the game, and it's not got me. I'm not enjoying this, so I'll just drop it." Which is a shame. It's a series that I actually really enjoy, the Persona series, but I dropped it because I couldn't finish it. I did not enjoy the game, which goes back to my original point. You don't have to like every game. You just don't. You don't have to like every game. And then building up upon that point, let's take another series for example. I really really enjoy the Dark Souls games. I really really enjoy them, but Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, Dies Twice, is a game where I physically got to a point where I couldn't play the game. I was struggling. I could not progress. I was stuck, and I was stuck for about 2 weeks, and just decided, no, that's it. I can't do this to myself. This is the wall that I've got, and I ended up trading that game in shortly after. Again, another shame. I wanted to like that game. I wanted to enjoy it, but I just couldn't, which is gutting. Really is gutting because I really, really, really wanted to enjoy that because I like the concept of it. I really did like the concept of the game, but unfortunately, I got to the point where my hands were cramping and I could not continue. And it was actually making me rage. Now, I don't usually rage at games. I'm usually pretty level headed, and it got to me. It got to a point where I was like, I physically cannot play this game anymore. Which again is a major, major shame. I'm quite gutted that it got to that point. But, and this is a but, I love Dark Souls, adore Dark Souls. I love Elden Ring. I even enjoy Bloodborne. Bloodborne's a bit faster compared to my usual play style, but I could still play it. I could still play it well. Now, Dark Souls, I adore. I adore the lore. I adore the gameplay. It's very methodical, and I just like the setting. It's so good. And yes, it is a difficult game, but it's difficult in the way of you need to learn what enemies are weak to. You need to learn how enemies attack, how they move, because you're not going to get anywhere if you don't. Now, I didn't really care for what enemies were weak to until I got to Elden Ring, which sounds really, really funny because in Elden Ring, I was struggling against one of the early bosses actually, just one of the early cemetery bosses. One of the guardians of the cemetery is like a statue of a cat demon thing, right? I was struggling against that. I ended up changing my weapon to like a mace. Uh, yeah, I think it was a mace. I think it was just a standard mace. And then I started wrecking through the bosses, and it clicked. It was just like, oh, enemies are weak to certain damage types, and I didn't clock that. It sounds silly that I didn't clock something, and I'm a sucker for this stuff. But then I started like figuring out. I was like, oh, what are you weak to? Oh, what are you weak to? And then going from there, and it just made my playthrough so much better in Elden Ring. Just trying out different weapons. I got to experiment with weapons, which is, something that you kind of want from software games. You want to experiment. You want to get better at these games. You know, you just do. That's just how it goes. So it was fun. I enjoyed myself and got through Elden Ring. I got through Dark Souls 1. I got through Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 2, I got about three-quarters of the way through the game. And then, if I remember correctly, I got sidetracked by other games and I never finished it. And I do know the DLC in Dark Souls 2 is probably the best content of the game. And I just never got around to it. I should really, really try it again at some point. I just forgot. I will probably eventually go back to it. Um, I can probably pick up Scholars of the First Sin edition pretty quickly and pretty early. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, Dark Souls 1, really, really enjoyed that game. And would love to go back to that at some point because there's so much in that game. There's so much in Dark Souls 1 that people just don't forget. And it's so fun. Speaking of Dark Souls, he is a boss that is very much reminiscent of Dark Souls, the failed champion. Now, I can't remember how my runs with the failed champion went, but I know it took me a few tries because I was learning his patterns again, as well as, learning, this boss has sped up a bit. This is a bit different to what I'm used to. And then, pardon me, and then having to learn that, he also does a lot of damage. That's going to be interesting. So, yeah, failed champion. It took me quite a few tries. Um, can't recall how many tries exactly, but I know it took quite a few. And that's bringing me back to my segue of Dark Souls. I loved fighting the bosses in Dark Souls. They were super fun. Minus the Bed of Chaos. Bed of Chaos was a bit of a boring boss. I knew what they were going for. I knew the idea they were going for, but it wasn't for me. It's not something that I would go and go, yeah, Bed of Chaos is a really, really good boss. It wasn't fun, but it was a boss. It was there. It was a plot boss. And it was all run here, hit a thing, run here, hit a thing, run there, hit a thing, done. Oh, and don't fall down the holes. It felt more like a platforming challenge than anything else. And Dark Souls isn't really a platformer. Not really. It's got elements, but it's not, it's bread and butter. But at the same time, it's super fun. All right. Bear with me. My Discord, for some reason, is going absolutely crazy, and I don't even have Discord open. So I'm a bit annoyed that it's even popping off. Alright, can I. Where's Discord? There we go. Log me out. Mute it. Whatever. Why is that doing that? Okay. Can we just mute for a sec? Mute for an hour. There we go. That'll do. Close that. Right. There we go. That's better. Okay. Carrying on from where I left off. Yeah. Bosses and Dark Souls, super fun, and learning how they work, how they attack, and all that kind of stuff. It's super fun. And Failed Champion reminds me of a traditional Dark Souls boss, where yeah, it's tough. They hit hard, but at the same time, they're not horrible and quick to read. You have to learn them, but when you've got it down, you've got it down. You just have to be aware that this guy's got long range attacks. This guy can jump on you. This guy can hit you with his giant mace. He can he'll drop molten rocks on you. He's got plenty of attacks which you've got to learn how to avoid, but he isn't hard in the sense of he's not going to take up too much of your time. His attacks are easy to read, but then you've got to be aware of it. You've got to be paying attention. You know, that's why I like the Failed Champion as a boss, even as the Failed Knight as the first version of him. Really, really fun to fight. It's just something that you got to keep in mind. And yeah, it's very reminiscent of Dark Souls bosses, which is really good. Because Dark Souls have really good boss design. They really, really do. And it was the same with Dark Souls 3. And it's the same in Elden Ring. Elden Ring's a bit more open compared to the others, but at the same time, it still follows the same premise. I think I only really struggled in the Elder game really early in the game. But as soon as I started like just traveling around, fighting everything I saw, and then leveling up, and then getting better equipment, getting better armor, get to my playstyle, it started opening up more avenues for me to enjoy. And I ended up really enjoying Elden Ring. I love it. I love Elden Ring. I still think for when it came out, it was my game of the year. I could not put it down, and that's saying something. I really, really enjoyed it. Like, really enjoyed it to the point of I, I'm generally thinking of playing it again at some point in the future. But I know it's a really long game. It's a really, really long game. Pardon me. So I don't think I'll be playing that for the channel anytime soon, considering I've got one long game up in February, which will take up most of my playtime. And it will take up my playtime. It is what it is. But I can't force myself to play too many games at the same time, mainly because I know that I'll be putting myself under a lot of stress. I mean, I'm putting myself under a lot of stress now as I'm playing through Spyro the Dragon 2 and trying to re-record these commentaries for Hollow Knight. I'm already putting myself through a lot of stress just for this alone. And then to top that off, obviously I have my day job, which also takes up a lot of time. Uh, and it's a professional career as well, so it's something that I have worked towards. I've got my qualifications towards the job, so it's something that I've got a lot of things going on, and I don't want to keep on taking up more of my time with too many projects or too many avenues, so to say. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what we get from that. Uh, but yeah, so doing re-recordings for Hollow Knight, the commentary for it, playing through Spyro the Dragon 2, which I'm really enjoying, by the way. Like, it's a huge nostalgia trip for me. Loving it. I do wish The one thing that I felt was missing from Spyro the Dragon 2 was I wanted more of it, which you do get in Spyro 3. You just get more of Spyro 2, which I'm very, very happy about. The downside with Spyro 3 is you lose those intro and outro cutscenes from the levels, which is it's a big shame. But the payoff is you get more game, which is nice, and more characters to play as well. I think Spyro 3 I only played recently. Uh, I say recently when Spyro Reignited Trilogy came out. That was the first time I played the third entry in the game, and you know what? Loved it. It is a good game. It's just I have a lot of nostalgia for Spyro 2, so that always takes up my top spot. It just does. Um, Back to talking about Hollow Knight. I think this is my sixth or seventh attempt now. I lost count. Failed champion. He isn't easy. He is not easy. He's not hard, but he's not easy. And it's mainly because of his damage output. Like you really do not want to get hit by him. And hey, it's a super fun boss. And there's quite a few bosses in Hollow Knight which are actually super fun. Like Mantis Lords, as a challenge as they are, I love fighting Mantis Lords. They are really really fun. And just trying to think who else was really fun to fight in Hollow Knight. Hornet. I always love fighting Hornet. Hornet's a fun little boss to fight. And what's the other one now? Come on, brain. You can think about it. I really, really can't think of the name. Dung Defender. There we go. Dung Defender. Super fun fight. Super fun fight. I would love more Dung Defender. In fact, that is probably something that I missed because I know you can fight Defender again. I actually completely forgot about it. Yeah, his fight, brilliant. He is super fun. He is very gimmicky. If you know how to, if you know all the ins and outs of the fight, yeah, he's super easy. But at the same time, you still got to be aware of your surroundings. All the dung balls he throws, they are bouncing around. They will hit you if you're not paying attention. He's a very punishing boss in the sense of he punishes you for not paying attention, which is fair. You know, most people mess up by not paying attention. It is what it is, and there we go. That is the Hollow Knight beaten. Hollow Knight, sorry, failed champion beaten. Super satisfying boss fight. Super fun, and it's so much better than the Watcher Knights, for example. I dislike bosses like the Watcher Knights. I did not find them fun. I don't know how people can find the Watcher Knights fun. It really doesn't do it for me. And I just I'm still here questioning why. Like, why do people find that fun? It's just one of those things. And you know, you've got to deal with it in your own way. But I managed to pull through that. I think I cheesed. If I remember correctly, I cheesed that fight. I cheesed that fight so hard, and it's only because, well, I just strong armed it, and just went. You know what? No, I'm going ham. I need to beat these guys down very quickly. I did not enjoy the Watcher Knights. Any bosses like that, I'm not a fan of. Like Dark Souls 3, Deacons of the Deep, exact same premise in a way. I didn't enjoy that fight. I thought that fight was kind of boring. But with the Watcher Knights, they weren't boring, but there was a lot going on, and you had to be aware of everything. Because it's a gank boss. They gank you. It's not fun. I don't like bosses like that. Whereas on the flip side, Mantis Lords, super fun because they don't come at you at the same time, they do time it. Like they are coordinated in a way where it feels fair, which is nice. You want that from your boss fights. I'm just trying to think now. I just realised that I've beat the failed champion. Where am I going now? I think I'm going to Sly. I think I'm going to Sly anyway. And as usual, make the silly mistake of hitting the enemies that explode, so I take damage. It's a very common thing that I do, which is forget uh, little things like that. You know, it's one of them. But yeah, Hollow Knight, lovely little game. I say little, it's not little, it's quite big. It's quite a big game. Um, Lovely indie game. There we go. There's the term I wanted. But yeah, for an indie game, it's fantastic. Right? It plays really well. I think the AAA industry could take a leaf out of uh, indie developers in the sense of you can tell there's a lot of thought and passion in indie games for the most part, which you don't really get from AAAs quite a lot of the time. Their cookie cutter product, as it's called. You don't want that. You, it, it feels lifeless. You want something with a bit of life to it, which is why Hollow Knight is one of the games that I wanted to record for people to show. Look at this fantastic little game. Look at it. Look how pretty it is. Look how much stuff's going on. It's it's such a good game. I think with my um, if I ever go back to Hollow Knight, I will just be finishing off things that I haven't done before. I won't be, for example, I won't be rushing to go through the entire game again. Not anytime soon, anyway. It's big endeavor. It's a very big endeavor. And here we go. I'm buying some soul vessel fragments, and I finished another soul vessel. Finally. So, and then I've got a mash shard and some charms left from Sly. The mash shard is a definite must-have. The charms, they're all right. They're not necessarily needed, really. The mash shard is a definite though. But yeah, Hollow Knight, such a good little game. Now, if I remember correctly, I am thinking where next to go, and I think, I think. Let me let me have a think, because unfortunately the name of the episode is just gone. So I'm having to spitball what is going on right now, because I've finished the failed champion. I think I might be going back to fight the Hive Knight. Maybe. I'm not sure. A lot happens that I don't recall. My memory is terrible, by the way. And yes, I will admit I have not watched the videos again beforehand because I feel like if I did that, that takes up way too much time, and then it would feel like I'm not adhering to a script, but more not in a reactionary mode. I'm not talking about what's going on. Which, in all fairness, if the audio recorded with the video, it would be reactionary because that's, you know, what you get. You get my reactions of what goes on right at that time. Unfortunately, I just don't remember. I really, really don't remember. So I think I'm just finding things that I haven't found before and then just going from there. I generally just don't remember at this moment in time. I only have the title of the video to go by, and that is literally just failed champion. So that's the most I knew that I've, done the failed champion. Other than that, I don't remember anything else. I really don't. And I'm still trying to recall now what's going on. I know I'm in the ancient basin, and then I'm going from the ancient basin. I think I'm going to the abyss. I think I'm going to the abyss anyway. Oh no, I'm going up. Oh, am I just clearing out mobs? I think I'm heading a different direction entirely. Ooh, interesting. Where am I going? Where am I going, game? I've already done that bit. So here I am, beating up mobs. Yeah, even I'm confused about where I'm going. See, we're both in this together. I don't know what I'm doing. I never know what I'm doing. I'm just going go with the flow, for the most part. It seems to be the best route to go through life at in some cases. It's just less mither. So I am in Deep Nest. I wonder if this is where I fight Nosk. Because I remember that I didn't fight Nosk until much later down. Yes, so here, right, little tidbit. I noticed the moth in the background. So I do remember seeing that. And I actually thought to myself, like, why is there like pictures of moths all over the place? There's some significance behind it. Like, now I know. I know what the significance behind it is now. But I also don't recall seeing it in my first ever time playing through the game. I just thought they were just bugs, just in general. But then figuring out they are moths is interesting because I didn't know what else to think about it. Here I am, going through a little gauntlet. So yeah, something to talk about. So I've talked about games that I dislike. I've talked about Dark Souls games that I find challenging yet fun to do with their bosses. And let's talk about different genres of games. So I've talked about Call of Duty being FPS, not a big FPS fan, but there are games that I do enjoy that are FPS. Like Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. Fantastic games. Really, really good. Really fun. And they are just really, really cool. Oh, uh, picked up the Sharp Shadow Charm, which is probably one of the best charms that I utilized in the game. It's really, really good. Helped me out in a bunch of situations. I just didn't realize its use until the end, unfortunately. Super good charm. Right, you dash, you damage by dashing. That's a ridiculously good charm, and should be used much more. But yeah, talking about first person shooters now. So love Doom Eternal. I thought they were super good, super engaging as well. Yeah, you have to be on the move, and just wanted more of that. Really, it was really good. Um, I got more of that in Necromunda Hired Gun, like the first person shooter based in the Warhammer 40k universe. Thought that was really fun game. It's a game I also got sidetracked from by other games. Uh, that's something I intend to get back to at some point. Not too sure if I should do a playthrough or not. I probably will because it's supposed to be not a very long game. So that's something I could possibly do in the future, just to spice things up a little bit. I'm trying to think other games. There is one early game on the PS2. It's not amazing. It's not amazing by a long shot. That is World War Zero. I thought that game was really good because it's the concept is World War One never ended, and because World War One never ended, well, Germany became a huge superpower. Like all the big countries you can think of became superpowers. War is rampant. Everybody's got to fight. It's very interesting concept, and I found the game super challenging. I thought it was really hard, especially for its time, and I did love the fact that the game itself super fun, super fun. Uh, just trying to think now. Other first person shooters that I enjoyed. I can't really think of any more off the top of my head. Third person shooters. I usually stick to action and adventure, so like Uncharted, supposedly be counted in that kind of style. Um, Uncharted's brilliant. Love Uncharted. I find Drake hilarious, but at the same time, he laughs off his pain. Whereas in the Tomb Raider reboot series that they did, like Laura was making it apparent. It's like, no, this is actually really traumatizing. Getting injured like this. I was like, yeah, it probably is. He just handles it a completely different way, doesn't he? So, it's an interesting take. Fear Fighters. Now that's an old PlayStation 2 game that not a lot of people I know have ever played. Super fun. Very slapstick with its humor. I thought it was really funny. When you kill an enemy, like they actually like start instead of bleeding blood, they bleed fluff. Like they are stuffed toys, stuffed animals. I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was pretty cool at the time as well. So that was fun little game. That is definitely something I want to play in the future. I'm hoping to get a bigger fan base for that and be like, look at this game that people have missed out on. This is really fun. And I'm trying to think any other shooters. There was Oni on the PlayStation 2. Now that was a game that I found randomly. I really enjoyed it. It's got super hard near the end though. I really struggled with that game at the end, and I think I even had to use a cheat code at the end because I found it that hard. And that's saying something. I'm trying to think of other games from that sort of era. Medal of Honor. I enjoyed the first one. I enjoyed Medal of Honor Rising Sun. Rising Sun being the one I always remember very vividly. I do remember playing the very first Medal of Honor on PlayStation 1. Um, just coaxing through it. I don't really remember how I got to the end of that game, but I did. Uh, I enjoyed it. And just trying to think. Medal of Honor Rising Sun is just a game I just remember vividly for their Pearl Harbor section. I thought that was really well done. Really dramatic as well. But that is a first person shooter. I'm on about first person shooters. Siphon Filter. Now, that's a series um, which I really enjoyed as a kid. I remember playing the first Siphon Filter. I played the demo for it to death first. I really enjoyed it. I wanted more of it. And I tried to see how far I could get with this demo, and it was always the same spot. Then getting the game, and then just getting through it. Super hard, super tough. Really enjoyed it though. I had no idea what I was doing. I probably have a better idea now than I ever did. So that might be something in the future as well. I'm trying to think of others. Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. I'm going away from shooters now. Um, Action adventure, Legacy of Kain. Soul Reaver was my first game in the Soul Reaver Legacy of Kain series, and oh boy, what a trip that was! I I remember it so vividly, so vividly, and I always found that really fun. Vampires, I, w- I, w- I'm a slut for vampires. I think they're super cool. I still do. I'm still fascinated with the concept of them. I find them really cool. I want more vampires. So hopefully we get something with Legacy of Kain soon, with them being bought up by Embracer. So that could be something in the future. That could definitely be something in the future. Fingers crossed, though. Nothing's guaranteed, but we'll see. We'll see. Um, but yeah, if we get something from that, that is definitely something I will want to do. Or I will ask the other guys if they want to do it, because I'm just doing whatever I want. But if they want to do it, I don't want to take that away from them. I would rather them to have some fun. The reason why I'll be doing Persona 3 is I've had one of the other members of the channel literally say to me, "Is like, you've got to do it. That's your thing. You've got to do it." So that's why I'll be doing Persona 3 Reload. Right, end of tangent. Back onto action adventure games now. So I've said Legacy of Kain. Siphon Filter technically counts because I was leading into that tangent. Um, Witcher. I thought Witcher was really well done. I really enjoyed The Witcher. Yes Games, YS. Um, I got into Yes really late in the series. I think I got into it in Yes with Yes 8, and I adore that game. I thought that game is just super fun. It is an adventure. It's super good. There's loads of games that are like that. I'm thinking like this should be bigger. This should have more of a following. These games deserve some love. Yes 8 was one of them. I played that game and I adored every moment of it. It felt like an adventure. I loved it. The story was pretty nice as well. I really enjoyed the characters, and it was just super fun hack and slash going through uh, and going journeying on an island. It was just really fun. I'm trying to think of others now. Brain. Brain's doing that thing where it doesn't know what it wants to do. Um, Technically, I suppose Nier Automata would be classed as an action adventure game in a way. That was a really good game. I really enjoyed Nier Automata. I enjoyed Nier Replicant as well. Just to throw that in there, thought they were really fun, um, challenging, and very psychological in the way of making you think, which is quite different. I quite enjoyed it. Trying to think of other action adventure games. I can't think of any off the top of my head at the moment, which is really interesting. That I just can't think of any more right now. Hmm. Let's go with platformers. Right. I've already talked about Spyro. I love Spyro. Crash Bandicoot. I love Crash Bandicoot. Mainly number three. Mainly number three. Number three is my favourite one. I think two, Crash Bandicoot 2 was a step in a right, good direction. But at the same time, if you ask me about any of the levels in Crash Bandicoot 2, I remember none of them. The only level I recall is the first one, and I think that's called Turtle Woods or something like that. That's as far as my memory goes. I don't really remember much else about said games, unfortunately. Trying to think what else now. I've talked about Spyro, technically talked about Crash, really enjoyed Crash. Croc. Now, Croc was, if I remember, it was originally meant to be a Nintendo game. It was meant to be Yoshi, but Nintendo basically decided against it. Oh, bear with me 1 second, guys. Right. Hello, can you hear me? I can't tell if this is recording again. Oh, yeah, yeah, it is. Right. Okay. Right. Sorry about that. I literally got a knock on the door and had to answer it. So, if there was an abrupt stop there, you now know why. But what was I talking about? Yes, Croc. So Croc was a platformer. It was originally meant to be a Nintendo game. It was meant to be a Yoshi game, a Yoshi 3D platformer, chasing the tails of Super Mario 64. It ended up not happening, and they ended up making it into Argonauts. Eventually, made it into their own IP and made it Croc instead. And Croc is such a fun little platforming game. I have more memories of Croc 2 than I have of Croc 1, but Croc 2 is just a fun little game. I love the Gobbos. I thought the Gobbos were really, really fun. Super fun little guys. And Croc 1, I didn't like how the Gobbos looked in Croc 1, but I'm putting that down to it was their first game in the series. They were basically putting out a game, working from there. It was still fun. It's still a fun game. Like all of the game direction for Croc 2 ended up being used from Croc 1. The gameplay never really changed. It didn't really change at all. And because of that, it did really well. For me, it did anyway. Um, Generally enjoyed Croc 2 quite a bit. Really, really enjoyed it. And, oh, man. Yes, I would love for them to remaster or remake Croc 1 and 2. Those two games are deserving of it. They really are. Now, before I carry on talking about platformers, in the game, in Hollow Knight right now, I've just come across the Flute Mom. It is a disgusting boss, which is just horrible to look at, and it's already done. It doesn't feel like a boss. It's there. It's not really a boss to talk home about. It's just there. However, the charm you get, the fluke charm, is really, really good. Like a lot better than a lot of people make out for it to be. It's so good, and because of that, it I think they nerfed it in patches later in the game where they the spells with when you use the flute mom crest are super powerful. They just the damage up by a lot. But I think they have nerfed it. They have patched and nerfed it quite a bit, which is a shame because it had the potential to be like super super powerful. There's me noticing a crack in the wall, so I then look into it a little bit, sort of getting to grips with where I am and what I'm doing. Okay, but yeah, Croc. I would love to see that come back as a new as a remake or remaster. I would love that. I'd think that would be amazing. we need more platformers. We need platformers in the gaming industry at the moment because there isn't many. There really is not many. One of the more recent ones, which is super fun, by the way, is Ukulele. Both the Impossible Lair and the original Ukulele games. Really, really good. I implore people to go play those games. They are fun. Like, yeah, I wouldn't recommend them otherwise. They are just super fun. And, oh, Ukulele. I thought the humor in that was just funny. It really was. I like Yuka as a character. Not a big fan of Laylee. I think Laylee's a bit of a bitch, to put it very nicely. Yeah, fun games. Impossible Lair. Really, really hard. Really fun though. And where am I? Here. I am going through the. I'm looking at what I'm doing on Hollowness now. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm just trying to get through as much as I can to get to the next area after this, which is, if I remember correctly, where you find a coffin in the junk pit, and you can. Um, Brain, come on. Yeah, you need a brain. Come on. Yeah, you need a simple key. That's it. I don't know why that took me so long for me to get that. Yeah, you need a simple key to open that coffin, and that is where you find the Godseeker DLC, the expansion DLC. It's DLC, I suppose, even though it just expands on everything. I suppose it's an expansion. I don't know. DLC expansion. The lines get blurred a little bit with those two phrases when it comes to gaming. Um, just trying to think now. Yeah, that's where I'm heading in Hollow Knight. But I am just traveling through, doing as much as I can. But talking about platformers, we definitely need more platformers. Don't get me wrong, like we've got some huge contenders still available, like Crash, Spyro the Dragon. You've got Ukulele out now. Um, you will have other older platformer games like Vex. Now that was a game of its time. It was edgy. You know, it had that 90s, late early 2000s appeal of look, Matrix has just come out. Look how edgy this is. Isn't this cool? It was a good game. It was a hard game, but it was a good game. But then you've also got games like Gex, Deep Cover Gecko. Now, Gex, the games of its time, the humor probably wouldn't land like it did back then. Probably wouldn't. But at the same time, the games itself were fun. They were pretty good. They were challenging as a platformer, and it was an interesting concept of having going through a TV world and then going through the sets of a TV as your stages. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really really cool. But there's quite a few that I like that. Trying to think of other ones now. Um, Jersey Devil. Now that's an old PlayStation game that I've still got a copy of it somewhere. It probably doesn't go for much now. My copy's battered. I've had it since I was a little kid, and that was fun. That's a super fun game. And I'm just trying to think now. That was a hard platformer because it just was. It was a hard little platformer. And I'm trying to think of others. Ooh, here's one that some people will literally go, "Oh yeah, that was a game." Bugs Bunny Lost in Time. Now, that game was amazing. I would love to play through that game again. In fact, I might actually see. I've got a copy of it. I might actually see if I can get that up and running through an emulator. Maybe later down the line. We'll definitely see. Because that for a game based around Bugs Bunny and the Looney Tunes world is just it's wacky, it's whimsical, and it's fun. Oh my god, it's so fun. And the bosses aren't hard either. I mean, they're challenging in their own way. They feel more like platform bosses than anything, but they are just fun. I think that's something that a lot of people seem to lose sight of when it comes to games is they need to be fun. Like, yes, if you're into your text heavy games, if you find that fun, you find that fun. I'm the same. I love my RPGs, so I love to read. I like reading new words as well. Um, so there's always stuff like that that I actually adore, and you gotta find what you like. You gotta find what you enjoy, especially when, for example, I'm gonna spitball with another sort of genre of games where you've got visual novels, which is all text based. It's all text based. Everything. It's all just text, and I find that fun. But I know not everybody else will. It's not for everybody. Nobody. If you want to read, you probably get a book. I get that. I understand that completely. And it's just one of those things where you need to find what you enjoy. Like, I don't enjoy sports games, but I know plenty of people that do. There is nothing wrong with it. There is nothing wrong with that. My only concern is when a game is not made well. Like, you will be able to tell instantly when a game just, well, that shouldn't be happening. That's not how the game is meant to be played. You, you will just be able to tell. From that, you can probably gather what games are good and what games are not essentially bad, but could be better, to put it very. And it all depends on the developers and what they want to do. I like developers that take risks. I really, really do. I like developers taking risks and being like, we want to try something different that's not been done before. Go for it. We need ideas like that. We need it. So give us more of that. And the gaming industry will actually flourish. Think of it like the film industry. When you find avant-garde films that you've never heard of before, you pick it up and you're like, oh, I'll go on then, I'll give it a try, and you found your favorite film, and you're like, this was amazing. Why isn't this bigger? It's the same with games. You need to look for them. There will be games that you probably never even heard of that you'll go back to from in the past, and you'll be like, this game was amazing. We need more of that. Right. So I'm looking at the time scale here. This is the end of the episode. So thank you for joining me on this tangent journey, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye bye.